This is 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News Midday.
Good afternoon. I'm Karli Barnett. Thank you for joining us. Our top story at midday, several central Georgia schools are feeling nervous after this week's shooting spree in Florida. At least 3 school districts are investigating online threats or alleged threats. In Lawrence County, the sheriff's office says East Lawrence went on what they call a soft lockdown today after a threat was posted on Facebook. They have deputies at the school, but they say they think the threat is just a prank. Meanwhile, Warner Robins Assistant Police Chief John Wagner says someone made a gun threat on social media against Houston County High School. He says the department has extra officers at the school today and spoke with the children involved, but they have not found a gun. Meanwhile, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office says they've charged a Mary Persons High School student who allegedly made a threatening post on social media. Lieutenant Lawson Biddick says someone reported the post to the school yesterday afternoon. The school district says the post used, quote, concerning and potentially threatening language against the school. They called in law enforcement and the student was taken in for questioning. Biddick says 17-year-old Brandon Hudson is charged with disorderly conduct, a misdemeanor. He says the post was too vague to charge him with a felony like making terroristic threats. We are looking further at how schools and law enforcement handle these social media posts and when a prank becomes a crime. We'll have more on this story tonight on Eyewitness News at 5 and 6. Now, this all comes after a student opened fire at a South Florida high school, killing 17 people. Funerals have now begun for some of the victims of the shooting at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And last night, thousands gathered at a vigil to mourn. Kenneth Craig is outside of the school in Florida with the latest.
Friends and family of Alyssa Al-Hadef held a funeral for the 14-year-old today. The teenager is one of 17 people killed in a mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School on Valentine's Day. Yesterday, her mother charged President Trump with making sure it never happens again.
President Trump, you say, what can you do? You can stop the guns from getting into these children's hands.
The message was similar at last night's vigil, where 8,000 people gathered. Fred Gutenberg lost his daughter, Jamie.
I sent her to school yesterday. She was supposed to be safe.
Democratic Senator Bill Nelson was at the high school today and wants assault weapons off the streets.
Maybe these students speaking out so boldly as they have on national TV, maybe this will be the turning point because, in fact, enough is enough.
President Trump is coming to his Mar-a-Lago estate this weekend, about 40 miles north of here. He plans to meet with families whose lives have been shattered.
Authorities say 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz confessed to the shooting using an AR-15, which he bought legally.
Obviously, he shouldn't have had that weapon and shouldn't have been able to do the kinds of things that he did.
Authorities say Cruz was in the school for only 6 minutes, shooting people on the first and second floors. On the third floor, he tried to shoot through a window at students fleeing, but the safety glass didn't shatter.
9 people remain hospitalized. 1 is in critical condition. Now, in Bibb County, school officials say they are working to prevent a violent incident in their schools. School Safety Director David Gowan says SPLOST money is paying for security features like barcode scanners, locked doors, shatterproof glass, and monitors. And Heritage Elementary School Principal Jennifer Askew says that any time they see emergencies elsewhere, she asks herself questions like, what would we have done?
I do think there are some things in place here because my understanding is that child was not supposed to be in that building. He had been banned from that campus. My hope would be that he would have been stopped there.
She says Heritage Elementary went over security plans this morning and they will continue to practice safety drills once a month. Well, one Central Georgia police chief has experience as a first responder at a mass school shooting. Georgia College Chief Don Chalice worked at the University of Iowa during a mass shooting in 1991. Since then, he said he spent a lot of time assessing past active shooter situations, and he offered some tips for anyone caught in a mass shooting.
You have some options. Get the heck out of the building and keep on running. You can secure yourself in your building. You can block the door. You can, if you have to, you can fight back. There's different programs out there. Run, fight, hide's one, but it's based on if you can't get away.
Well, next week, Chalice and Georgia College will host a 2-day training seminar on threat assessments to help schools and colleges identify any possible threats and reduce the dangers. That is happening Monday and Tuesday in Milledgeville. New at noon today, Putnam County Sheriff Howard Sills is not apologizing for comparing Governor Nathan Deal to Lucifer and criticizing changes to Georgia's criminal justice system. Sills made those comments in an email to other Georgia sheriffs. In a phone call this morning, Sills reiterated the comments. The email was inspired by a bill that would give judges more discretion to forego cash bail for defendants accused of low-level offenses. Sills says he objects to Deal's efforts over his past 2 terms to reduce the number of people in state prisons and under state supervision. Sills' comments were condemned on the House floor yesterday. Republican House Speaker David Ralston said Sills' words made him sick to his stomach. You can read more on the sheriff's comments on 13WMAZ.com. Now we have a 13WMAZ follow-up to 3 fires that broke out in the same South Macon neighborhood. Firefighters say vacant homes like those can be very dangerous for them to fight. Macon-Bibb fire investigator Ben Gleaton says that's mainly because these homes have no electricity or gas and are usually unsafe before they even go up in flames. He says the fires are usually started after the homeless take shelter inside, try to keep warm with a fire, and then it gets out of hand. When firefighters arrive, neighbors are never sure if people are actually inside. Gleaton says entering these buildings can be a safety hazard.
And the structure's compromised just from being in the weather. Roofs are caving in, floors are rotted. Lots of times people come in and cut the floors out to steal the copper pipe and all that. So we go into a structure that's on fire and the floors are already cut out of them. So we have to deal with holes in the floor, holes in the roof, just a generally dangerous situation.
And those 3 fires are still under investigation, and anyone who has information should call the arson hotline at 1-800-282-5804. That is again 1-800-282-5804.
Well, it feels a lot like springtime outside this afternoon. Most of us in the 70s right now. Dry. Slightly better rain chances for Saturday and Sunday, but even then, we're looking mostly dry. We'll talk all about the weekend forecast that's coming up. Karli, back over to you.
All right, thank you, Hunter. Now, of course, here in Georgia, we have our favorite homegrown foods like peaches. And Central Georgia's largest peach supplier just got even bigger. Lane Southern Orchards is merging with Taylor Orchards, and they say now they are the largest peach and pecan operation in the country. Combined, the two have more than 10,000 acres of peaches and pecans, and they say Lane and Taylor will be able to move equipment and personnel between the 2 farms, making them more efficient. Lane's CEO Mark Sanchez says the merger will also help the local economy.
This is going to allow us to really recapture the marketplace and put the Georgia peach brand back on top where it's always needed to be.
The consolidated operation will pack peaches under the Lane Southern Orchards label. Coming up next on Eyewitness News Midday, hundreds of jobs headed to Robins Air Force Base to work on C-130 planes. We'll tell you when the jobs will begin and take a look at other work at the base. It's all coming up after the break.